Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening based on when you're watching this video. Joe here, your credit repair expert, and I am super excited to be able to share this information with you guys. And you know, there's so many credit repair companies out there and so much information about repairing your credit. And I just wanted to kind of make a one-stop video where you're not having to go find all this information. And I challenge you to do a couple of things. Number one is when you're done watching this video, research everything I just said, right? Make sure you implement all the things that I'm going to talk about here, and you're going to notice that you'll be able to raise your credit score, all right? So let's talk a little bit about, let's go ahead and dive into, and by the way, this is going to be a pretty lengthy video, so if you don't have a lot of time, either save the video or, you know, download it, or whichever way you want to be able to watch it a little bit later, because really this is not a promotional, you know, buy my product kind of stuff. This is really informational, an informational video for you guys to have all the information to make an educated decision on how to go about to repair your credit, and what are some things that you should be doing and not doing and things like that. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into that. And the first thing I want to kind of cover, guys, is we have been repairing credit for over 20 years. The only other company that was around and open when we opened our doors, I don't want to mention any other companies, but there was only one other company that was around when we opened our doors when we started repairing credit. All right, so we come from we're not a fly-by-night company. We have been doing this for a long time. As a matter of fact, we got our information from the head disputing officer of Experian, and she's the one that gave us all the ins and outs. She is no longer with them, and this was about 20 years ago, by the way. She wanted us to know exactly how to remove things from somebody's credit in a way that it doesn't come back on their credit. All right, so let's dive into that. All right, so there's a lot of credit repair companies out there. There's a couple of questions you want to ask, and I tell you, go ahead and call these credit repair companies and ask them a couple of questions before you sign on the dotted line. All right. So, question number one, make sure that they are licensed and bonded with the Attorney General. All right. So we have been licensed and bonded with the Attorney General since we opened our doors. Now, why is that so important? Well, if a credit repair company doesn't do what they said they're going to do, and they're not, refunding your money, and you're like, hey, I lost all this money. If they're licensed and bonded, you can call them, and if they refuse to give you the money back, you can call the Attorney General and say, hey, these guys, didn't do what they said they were going to do. They just took my money and didn't do anything. And the Attorney General will then, at that point, call that company and go, hey, prove to us that you did exactly what you said you were going to do. And if you can't do that, they'll take the money out of the bond and hand you the money back. All right. So you have no risk when you're with a licensed and bonded company, especially if, one that's licensed and bonded with the Attorney General. So make sure they're licensed and bonded with the Attorney General, which we are. Right. So the other thing, you want to make sure they're red flag compliant with the Federal Trade Commission. Now, what does that mean? That means that all your information that you hand them is going to be safe. All right. So there's again, nothing wrong with all the credit repair companies that are out there, but there are a lot of fly-by-nights. There's multi-level marketing companies that do credit repair. There's other companies that just watch a YouTube video and then they start running ads. So you're going to have, by the end of the video, you're going to have all the knowledge to be able to ask them questions before you go ahead and get started with their services. All right. So the other question is, how are you repairing my credit? How are you going to remove these items from my credit? All right. So now here's exactly how most credit repair companies repair your credit, right? You call them up, they take your information, and then once you give them your credit card information and you start signing up for this monthly fee, or maybe you signed up for a fee to where they're charging you for every item you remove. And by the way, most of those that are charging per item, that item comes back to you to pay for it again. And most of the time they do come back, and we'll cover why those things come back, right? So most credit repair companies will put your information into Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.com. And what they do is they click on what we like to call an easy button. And what that means is they see a button that says dispute, they click on dispute, and then they charge you for it. Most credit repair companies out there, and these are the questions you want to ask them, Most credit repair companies out there are going to go after one or two items this month, one or two the next month, one or two the following month. Their entire business model is designed to drag that process out 12, 24, 36 months. So you might be paying a super low monthly payment and you don't think about it, right? So they're like, oh, they repair my credit. It's kind of like a gym membership. How many of you guys have gotten a gym membership and it keeps coming out of your account and you're like, man, I haven't gone to the gym in about 4 months. And you don't really think about it. It's a 10, it's 12, it's $30 a month. And you're like, it's $30 a month. I'll go whenever. All right. So there's a lot of programs like that, right? So make sure you ask them, how long is this process? And by the way, we only charge for 6 months and then we give you 6 months free in case you're not 100% cleaned up. All right. So most credit repair companies go online. They also send out these letters. And by the way, the same letter they send out to the previous 1,000 customers, they're going to send out that same letter for you. They're just going to change the name on it. So they're really on a hope system that these things will work. All right. So, and here's the thing. If you go with any other company out there, you can do this yourself. You might as well do it yourself. Put your information into Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion and just click on dispute. And you don't have to go after one or two items. You could sit down and just start clicking until you click on everything that's negative on your item. And you're going to notice that you're able to remove about 40 to 50% of those things off your credit. The problem is about 20 to 30% of those things are going to come back on your credit at some point. All right. So the real number doing it that way or going with a company that does it that way is about 20%. And by the way, that will help your credit score. We, on the other hand, will get 85 to 95% of things off your credit. We do get 100% most of the time. But what we've noticed in the 20 years and the 90,000 clients we've already taken care of, that our average is about 85 to 95%, which will definitely put you in a position where you're able to go refinance your car, whether you're trying to purchase a house, whatever you're trying to do with your credit score. Because, here's the thing. We all know that there's three things that are eating our finances up, right? That's taxes, inflation, and the interest, which most of us, we can't control inflation and taxes, but we can control how much interest we're paying for things like your car, your house, things like that, insurance. We can control that by having a good credit score. So ignoring the fact that, that you don't have perfect credit, then, it's a real costly thing. So if you monetize your credit score by repairing it, you're going to notice that you'll be able to save a lot of money. Well, that's, that goes without saying, right? So again, most credit repair companies, what they're going to do is just go online. They're going to be doing those kind of things, and you're going to get about 20%. We get 85 to 95%. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Number two, anything that goes into collections, right? And here's the one thing that all credit repair companies that you notice is they all talk about that paying something that's already in collections does not repair your credit. Now, legally, we cannot tell you not to go pay it. All right. We can tell you, however, we can tell you that what happens when you pay something that goes into collection. So I owe Bank of America some money. It goes into collection because it's over 180 days late. They charge it off. They write it off in taxes. They sell that collection, or they sell that account to a collection company. The highest bidder gets my name, gets my phone number, and how much I owe them. And they buy it for pennies on the dollar. So maybe I owe Bank of America $5,000. They sold it to ABC Collections for $1,000. And now they're calling me going, hey, by the way, you owed Bank of America $5,000, but with interest and hidden charges on all these extra charges, now you owe us $7,000, right? But guess what? We'll settle with you for $4,000. Let's say I don't know any better, right? And I'm like, that's a great deal, right? I saved $3,000. Not really, because they bought that for $1,000, right? So I settle with this ABC collection. So what happens now? Or maybe I even think I'm, a good negotiator. So I get on the phone. I'll tell you what, I'll do $2,500 right now. I'll write you a check for it. And then they're like, well, we're still making $1,500 on this deal because we bought it for $1,000. So they're going to go, yeah, go ahead. And what's the debit card? Now, what happens if I do settle? In your report, it's going to read paid for less than amount due. All right. So that's what's going to happen. So you're going, all right, my credit score should go up now, right? Wrong. All right. Here's what happens when you pay a collection. All right. One, you've just pleaded guilty. All right. Now, the Fair Credit Reporting Act's been around since 1970. These laws are there to protect you. All right. And by the way, that's what we use in order to remove things off of your credit. All right. We'll dive into that a little bit later on. But all right. So I called ABC Collections. Now I negotiated with them. Now I pleaded guilty with them. All right. So now when I look at my report, there's a couple of things. One, I pleaded guilty. Number two, let's say that particular item was about to fall off my credit, right? It's been there for 5 years. It's going to fall off in 2 years without me doing anything. It's just going to fall off because everything comes off in 7 years. Unless it's a bankruptcy, then it comes off in 10 years. All right. So that particular item, I just pleaded guilty. Number one. Number two, it's not coming off my credit report. It just reads paid for less than amount due. And number three, I just reset that 7-year clock all over. So instead of 2 years, now it's going to be on my report for 7 more years. All right. So total of almost 12 years that particular item. People were like, man, that was 12 years ago. How is it still on my report? Easy. You answered a phone call. You pleaded guilty. You confirmed your name. You confirmed your address. There's so many things that most people that have bad credit do wrong because they don't know the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the federal laws that are written in the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So understanding those things. All right. So it doesn't come off your credit report. It doesn't increase your credit score. Wait, hold on. Why doesn't it increase your credit score? Because you paid it, right? It should increase. Because here's the thing, a zero balance and a 10, 15, 20, 50, $100,000 balance when it comes to a negative item on your report does not matter. The system that gives you a credit score does not read amounts. All right. So, and I hear this a lot on a daily basis, right? Say, the only thing I have bad is an AT&T bill for $200 and, a repossession that had 12 go. That's it. That's all I have that's negative. Well, even one thing that's bad on your credit is bad. All right. So the amount doesn't matter. So the system does not read the amount. And let me kind of backtrack there. It doesn't read the amount if it's a negative item. Now, if you've got a revolving credit, which is about 18% of your credit score, if you have revolving credit, an open account, once you go over 25%, your credit score goes down. Once you bring that account down under 25%, your credit score is going to go up. But that really doesn't matter if you've got one negative item. All right. That's going to keep your credit score down. All right. So making sure that you don't go over 25%, keep it under 25%, and then remove the negative items, you're going to see that you're going to maximize your credit score. So a zero balance and a $10,000 balance when it comes to collections, charge-offs, those kind of negative items, the system doesn't read amounts. All right. So making sure you understand that paying a debt that's already in collections does not repair your credit. Okay, so how is it that we're able to remove 85 to 95%? Simple. Number one, we don't go online at all. We order a specific bureau. It comes in the mail. Our disputing department at our corporation, which is in Denison, Texas, by the way. We do business all over the United States, Puerto Rico. We also do Hawaii. Anywhere where the Fair Credit Reporting Act is enacted, we do business, right? So our clients, they get this report, a bureau in the mail within 10 to 12 days. We're going to spend about an hour and a half finding every violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. We're going to file specific documents. We've seen these stories are the same ones over and over and over. We know what violations they're violating. 20 years looking at the same thing over and over, getting our information from the head disputing officer of Experian. All these things, doing the things that we do, is totally different than just clicking on an easy button, clicking on dispute. Now, in the 20 years that we've been in business, we are the only ones, and again, go research this. When you call a credit repair company, just call any of them out there. Ask them, if something comes back on my credit, do I have to pay for that again? Now, most credit repair companies, they get about 20 to 30% of things that come back on your credit, and then they'll charge you again. We come with a 7-year guarantee that if anything ever comes back on your credit in 7 years, all you got to do is pick up the phone and we'll go in there, remove it for free. Now, it's been over 19 and a half years since we've had anything come back on anyone's credit the way we repair credit. And the way we do that, we don't go online. We're not sending out these template letters. We're going to spend about an hour and a half. We're going to find every violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. We're going to file specific documents. And there's nothing that someone can put on their credit that we cannot remove. Bankruptcies, tax liens, student loans, judgments. It doesn't matter if it can be put on your report, we can remove it. All right. So, and there's so much more, and everyone's situation is different. So the best thing to do is to just do a free consultation. There's no obligation. And again, we only charge for 6 months and we give 6 months free. We are the least expensive out there, and we also have a free program as well. So if you guys want to know about the free program or you want a free consultation, all you got to do is hit the message below here, and it'll ask you, what do you want, a free consultation? Do you want to know about our free program? And again, we've been doing it for 20 years. We're licensed and bonded with the Attorney General. We come with a 7-year guarantee that nothing's ever going to come back once we remove it. All right. So let's monetize your credit score. Let's bring your interest rate down, because we can control that, right? Because that's the only thing we can control. Again, this is Joe, your credit repair expert. And if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and message us on the bottom. You guys have a blessed evening.